All right, hello everybody. For my midterm for 3367, what I wanted to look at was, I think, something that's on the mind of a lot of undergrads right now. Should I get a master's degree? Is a master's degree worth it? Um, this actually came up as my research question because of a discussion I was having with a few of my friends who are about to graduate this semester. They were saying, so Natasha, she is a math major. She wants to be a data analyst, and she was saying, "Well, oh, of course I want to get a master's degree. It makes sure that I get the job I want. It makes sure that I'm at the front of the line when there's a job available. So it gives me like preference when I'm trying to be hired, and it gives me a higher salary when I actually do get into the job market." Now Hassan, he is a electrical engineering major, and he was saying, well, I mean, I don't want to spend 2 extra years and a lot of money to get something that doesn't really do that much for me in terms of salary wise. I mean, he is going to be higher, but how much? And he was also saying that if that's what I was worried about, or getting a job, I can do an industry certification, which takes 2 to 3 months, costs way less, and it has the same effect of what you're saying. Now they had a disagreement back and forth, and I said, this is a question that's on my mind too. Is a master's degree worth it? So I said basically I'm just gonna go use this opportunity and get some data and see what it says. So we can start off with the cost. Now, the cost basically I grabbed 5 schools from the New York area, and one of the things about Excel that's cool is after you put the data together, it's very easy to visualize it. So, you literally just go click on insert and you go to charts and you have like a variety of charts to choose from. I just grabbed a regular bar chart, and right away you can see that visualized data is a lot easier to understand. Um, for example, you can see where Cornell's tuition sits relative to the other schools. So this one here is the Bachelor's of Science, and you can see that per year you'd be paying about $36,000, compared with something like Baruch, where you're paying about 3,000. You know, Cornell and Baruch, in terms of how they're perceived, are way different. So what I grabbed was the USN score. So this was basically published by a magazine that ranks schools. So you have Columbia here. Now Columbia is at 95 on that USN score, whereas Baruch is at 71. It's tied with NYU. So it gives you an idea of how the schools are perceived. We can go into the cost analysis a little more in depth. I split that data up into two, and I used some slicers to actually try to, zoom in on the data. So let's say we're looking at Columbia again. Now, one of the really interesting things that I found when I looked at the data this way is that the master's, which is in the orange, costs just as much as the bachelor's, which is in blue. And I found this to be crazy because you get most of your value from your college life from this. This is your bread. This is your bread and butter, basically. This is just the topping, if you want to look at it that way. But it costs just as much as the bachelor's, which I found insane. And this wasn't only a phenomenon I saw in Colombia. If you look at all of them, the data trends, well, the data trends for at least Baruch, Columbia, and Cornell, they trend to be just as much, or in Baruch's case, a whole lot more. You can zoom in on Baruch, which is insanity. And then, for schools like NYU, in pace, you can see it's a little better, but still, you have to you have to think that most of the value you're gonna get out of your college career, the whole thing, is coming from right here. So why should you spend just as much for I mean, in my case specifically, I mean, the difference is just staggering. Like, this is what I'm spending, when most of my value, 80%, being generous, is going to come from here. So we can actually go on to earnings, right? And once again, looking at my at my particular example, I want to be a developer. We can see that this is what I'd be making if I do become a developer with a bachelor's degree. I'm looking at 68,000, compared with if I had a master's degree, I'm looking at about 79,000. So $11,000 difference. And you see it trends differently depending on the job you get. So like if you're a data analyst, you're at 96 average with a bachelor's, and if you're a master's, if you have a bachelor's degree, you're at $100,000 average. And it varies, but you can see the trend is obviously you get paid a little more for having a master's degree. Um, and basically that data is sort of repeated here. I use slicers again because slicers are cool. But the slicer gives you, a little more. It gives you a closer look at what that data is saying. So here we see that $11,000 difference again for having a master's degree and being a developer versus having a bachelor's degree and being a developer. All right. So here in this slide, I compiled some of that data. So if you look in the formula bar, you can see that I was pulling from different sheets. What this is your cost over your school career. So let's say you got your master's and you got the job that you wanted. So if you're a data analyst, you're making the $100,000. This is what you had to pay to get to that. And I didn't want to put any charts in because I wanted to show a different way that Excel can show the data to you, and that's by using the color scales. So for the higher colors, it's that bright red. For the lower colors, it's the green. And I thought this is a cool way to show um value differences without having to throw a chart on the sheet. Now you can see Colombia is super, it's all like bright red, and you're spending $519,000 for a job that's going to pay $100,000 a year. And we compare that with the undergrad costs, and you see that you're getting $96,000 from your job, but you're only spending 376 to get the degree, which is like 115, $20,000 less. And once again, this is the color skills in particular are a really cool feature because it shows out pace is way over in the expensive, like it's expensive compared to everything else. And finally, I want to go to the dashboard. We covered a lot, so I wanted to do a simple dashboard. This is Power Pivot. I like Power Pivot because the animations are really nice. So when you click on something, the animations down here are, it's very nice like that. What the USN score, that's what this is. It's just a ranking system for the schools. It's supposed to give you some sort of like an idea of what the value is. This is the cost of the school. And over here we have how much you're going to make after you graduate with either a master's or a bachelor's. I liked doing this exercise because it helped me understand that, even though Baruch is cheaper than all the other schools, is spending 2 years of my life and that extra money, because we can go back to the cost analysis. It is money. Like, even though it's not a lot, it is money that I'm spending. Is it all worth it? And I love this sheet in particular because it gave you in a very clear way that where your value is coming from, and spending that extra money might not be worth it. I think Excel does a great job in being able to take data and presenting it in a very easy to understand and digestible way. I hope this actually helps somebody other than me, because I did find this very informative, and it helped me make a decision that, maybe getting a master's is not the best thing, you know. So once again, our research question was, is getting a master's worth it? And the conclusion I came to after doing this was no, it's not. Thank you for watching. Bye.